Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be checking out Stair Dismount, otherwise known as, and pardon me if I butcher this word, Porastavat. This is the original physics game, as far as I know, by the developers of Turbo Dismount, known as Secret Exit, and this was actually a game that a lot of people told me that I should check out, because it's sort of an important and influential game of back in the day, and this is one that I actually had not played or even heard about until I actually tried the recent one, again, meaning Turbo Dismount, when it came out on Steam, and slightly before when I think it was in early access. But this is all the way from back in 2002, and essentially a very simple concept, and it's kind of what I was in the mood for today. Just a game about pushing a ragdoll dummy down some stairs to try and cause as much damage as humanly possible, and the game is surprisingly comprehensive in that one respect. I mean, it's not a very robust game and doesn't have a lot of features, but in the general idea of pushing a dude down the stairs, it's got that covered in spades. So, why don't we have a look here? So what are our controls that we can mess around with? First things first, we've got a marker on the bottom left corner, which we can target any point on this character's body. So we can do the head, neck, shoulders, arms, legs, and feet, and pretty much any combination in between. So any of these points, obviously, as you can see, we can move this around. So then, there's also this kind of Tiger Woods golf-style force meter that seems to be going up and down, and all we really need to do is hit dismount, and at the highest point possible, well, if we want a high inertia push, I guess, down the stairs. We can also grab and move this arrow around, so if we want to specifically target a certain part of the body and push it in that direction, well, we can actually grab things and move them at that granular of a level. So I'm actually going to push this arm, the right shoulder backward, I believe, in some good degree here, so that it even gives you a heading and a pitch, so you can maybe try and replicate some of these actions multiple times. So there we go, we've pushed him down. That is the exact opposite of what you actually want to accomplish in this game, because you're going for the most damage possible. I only accrued 6,477 points on that one, and that is pretty freaking bad. So I actually did a few runs of this. You'll see my top score right now is 93,000. You can do this in like 5 seconds, obviously. Runs are extremely, extremely short, so if you want to go and shoot for a high score, basically just a bunch of pressing of that button, and this actually is a toggle, believe it or not, so you can actually turn that on or off. I should also mention there are options for the sound effects and music. Music's actually pretty chill and nice, and I kind of like it quite a bit. And we can move the camera around. A little bit of a strange look there he's got going on. So let's reset our character and get a better camera angle, perhaps. Well, none of these are all that good, actually. See, the problem is it doesn't actually follow the character down the stairs, so you have to kind of pick one static viewpoint and stick with it. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. You can pretty much get a good viewpoint and then move it around yourself if you really want. But I guess we're kind of spoiled these days, having cameras that do everything dynamically and try to always grab the most exciting and intense moment of action. So it's just kind of cool to see where something came from. I mean, in this case, playing Turbo Dismount, that involved like all kinds of obstacles you could move around, and various different models that all happen. Oh, we actually broke the 10,000 barrier already. That was kind of easy. Or, I'm sorry, the 100,000 barrier. I'm going to enter my name in again for a high score. And we could even submit that online if we want, but I actually haven't really been keeping track of how good those scores are. So, yeah, what was my secret? Well, I pushed his arm kind of hard in a certain direction, and things just sort of worked out. It's kind of interesting, too, to see, like, how many possible eventualities that you can get. Oh, new high score? What? That wasn't a high score. I thought I just broke 100,000. I don't know. But yeah, there's, like, infinite possibilities of pushing this ragdoll down the stairs, even with the exact same setup. One little nugget of incremental difference in the amount of force could all of a sudden result in a completely different score. So if I tried to replicate, and I'm kind of curious if this actually would work properly, tried to hit the exact same power, would I end up with 59,000 again? Probably not, right? I imagine that there's a little bit of entropy in each run. Also, I'm not sure I could hit the same nugget twice in a row if I really wanted, and that time I got 135,000. So, you know, it's kind of funny, sometimes you get a really high score, sometimes you really don't, and I guess that's sort of the, sort of feels like you're doing a slot machine or something. You might hit the high jackpot, you might not, but either way, when you hit a really good one, it could be quite entertaining. Then you can actually watch the replay and move the camera around so you can get a better look at things if you really want to. I imagine people probably played this for hours and hours and hours when there wasn't much else to do yet in the sad world of PC gaming back in 2002. That's not entirely true, to be honest. There were a lot of games back then. They just weren't very often involving physics models such as this, so that's kind of a nice and cool thing to see. And it's really neat to see that all those years later, the same people went and made another concept out of the same thing and actually pulled it off, and it actually is quite a bit of fun. So why don't I target the character's neck? I keep thinking if I hold right-click, then I'm going to just be able to drag this camera around for some reason. I guess it's like I'm spoiled on Unity games or something like that. So I'll just smash his neck straight into the stairs. You would think that would do a lot of damage. Well, apparently the human body, very versatile. Took no damage to the neck on that one, so I guess the character did very well in that case. Also, maybe I didn't target the angle very well, too. So let's dismount on that one. And it should be mentioned, of course, there is, I believe, one other, I think it's called Truck Dismount by the same developers, and this one and that one are both free. So if you want to mess around with some ragdoll physics on a stick figure style character, those are both ways to do it. And there's also, it reminds me a little bit, there was one specific level in this game, Sumotori Dreams, that I played on the series a long while back. It actually had a very similar setup to this. It was basically just a set of stairs with some mildly destructible elements. I think parts of, like, the facade of the stairs could actually break apart. You just get a bunch of, like, ragdoll sumo wrestlers at the top of the steps, and they all start pushing into each other. And then before you notice, like, all of them have broken the stairs apart as they fall down. So went for a good head somersault there. Didn't really work out as well as I would have hoped. And it's really funny to think, like, how addictive something like this can be. And it reminds me a little bit of, like, the Crash mode in Burnout 3 or something, only with the human body. Or maybe even Skate 2 and Skate 3 both had sort of physics-enabled crash modes where they wanted you to do as much damage as humanly possible to skateboarders. And it's like, I don't really get into, like, massive amounts of violence in general, and that's exactly what this is. Although it's sort of comical in a silly way, and it just, I don't know, it just seems fun. Just seems like the type of thing you play over and over again. You get a competition going with your friends. You know, there's not a high skill level involved. You know, the amount of preparation versus the payoff is extremely small. So if you screw up, it takes literally 1 second to stop and start over again. So in an instance like that, the risk to reward ratio very high or low. I don't remember which way I want to frame that, but that's okay. So we actually got 119,000 on that run. That's actually quite good. What are the top scores now? Can we update our scores? Is there anyone out there? Just not if you can hear me. Oh, okay. So actually, my score is not all that terrible. I'm actually number 6 right now, top 10 scores in the last 24 hours. So there you go. Proof is in the pudding. Oh, my top score was actually 135. I actually missed that one, I guess. Probably happened just a moment ago. So, I guess there's not a whole lot else to really mention on the general terms of Stair Dismount. It's a pretty fun game, very simple, but like I said, I just wanted to focus on something that was kind of the basis of something bigger, and in this case, Stair Dismount did a pretty good job for the concept, especially given probably the lack of resources that a developer would have to try and make a physics-based game back in the day. So, I'm impressed by it. It's a very easy concept to get behind, and it's very fun to just keep playing over and over again. So let me know in the comments what you think about Stair Dismount, if this is a thing that you played back in the day, if you have fond memories of this. How do you think it stacks up against things nowadays, if there's much, much better physics models, and if this, like, just turns you off because it's so simplistic? I mean, granted, all of the things I said kind of come with the caveat of, yeah, I know we'll probably not really be playing this for more than 10 or 15 minutes at a time ever, but I'm just sort of putting it in the context of, you know, what people had to deal with then versus what they have now as far as development goes, and, you know, I think they did a pretty freaking good job with it. So with that in mind, let me know what your comments are, and I will, of course, leave you for another day. Link's going to be in the description. If you haven't actually played this one, go ahead and give it a shot. It's a real small file to download, and you can also check out the other one I mentioned, too. I think it was Truck Dismount, and try that out. I actually haven't tried that yet myself, so maybe that's for another day. But after you're done, feel free to go browse some of the other stuff. We actually passed the 800 episode threshold of Indie Impressions, so we're now working our way into yet another playlist. And that was another contentious thing I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with exactly. You can now have several hundred, possibly up to 1,000 videos in a YouTube playlist, whereas in the past you can only have up to 200. So now that they've raised the capacity for those, I had the option to just continue on with the last playlist for Indie Impressions, just keep it going indefinitely. But I chose for the moment, just make one more. And maybe at some point I'll figure out how to just put them all together in one single playlist, and then we could take it from there. Maybe we'll just have Indie Impressions 1 through 1,000 in one playlist. So anyway, I just sort of wanted to give you the lowdown on what exactly was going on with that. In case you notice, the Indie Impressions playlist all of a sudden has like one thing in it, or maybe two by the time you see this one. So nothing's wrong. Of course, you can still browse them all through the shelf that I've made on my main channel page. I think if you just click on that, it'll take you to all the playlists, because I've actually got them sorted by their actual name and tag. Or you can just go to indie-impressions.com, where they're going to be all sorted and categorized for you. You can even sort them by genre or payment preference, so whatever you're into, going to be something for everybody. Some of these camera angles, I have to say, are a little bit awkward. I'm thinking, like, what are you going to get out of this particular one, right? Like, okay, you can see the first movement, and after that, well, you've just got to click through these until you find the angle that you want that actually works better. But anyway, that's going to do it for another day, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like on it. Keeps the series going and keeps people finding it, so, you know, more indie games every single day. If you're into this series, feel free to come back again tomorrow. New episodes go up every single day, like I said, so I hope to see you back for that. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you all have a fantastic night. So I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.